training for battle on the new front line of America's war on Al-Qaeda. This is Yemen's counter-terrorism unit. On Christmas Day, Al-Qaeda in Yemen almost carried out the worst terrorist attack on US soil since 9/11. Suddenly, all eyes have turned to this little-known Arab country, asking the question, who is fighting Al-Qaeda in Yemen?
القاعدة سواء القاعدة المركزية أو القاعدة المحلية هي في الأصل حالة يمنية، وكانت اليمن وما تزال مكان يستقطب ويجند ويدرب ويصدر، وسيبقى دور اليمن كذلك سواء شباب يمنيين أو شباب من خارج اليمن.
Across the rugged desert east of Sana'a lies the ancient town of Marib. Home to a temple to the Queen of Sheba, Marib was once the jewel in the crown of Yemen's tourism industry. Today, gunmen patrol. Marib is now an operational stronghold for Al-Qaeda. Formed in January 2009 with several hundred fighters, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is a merger between the group's Saudi and Yemeni networks. Sheikh Abdullah al-Sharif is a tribal leader from Marib.
لكن تنشأ من عاطلين عن العمل وتجرهم قيادات قد نقول انها اجنبيه وتنتمي الى القاعده، ومن هنا ما لهم طريق الا انهم يتمثلوا او يدعوا باسم الدين.
This unemployment couples with rapidly diminishing oil and water resources. Yemen's economy is fast heading for collapse.
The root cause of everything is poverty. No one is recruited free of charge. It all has to have resources. But the religious appeal adds to the shortage of capital.
The international focus on Yemen comes as the authority of President Ali Abdullah Saleh is being directly challenged. A long and bitter war against Houthi rebels in the northern governorate of Sada has uprooted tens of thousands of families. In the south, a secessionist movement for the independence of South Yemen regularly demonstrates against the president. In the space that is opening up as Yemen pulls itself apart, Al-Qaeda have succeeded in establishing a strong foothold, especially among local tribes. On an Al-Qaeda video, Nasser Wahishi, the leader of Al-Qaeda in Yemen, warns Muslims of a coming war between Islam and the West.
فقد نسج أبطالنا أكفانهم من دمائكم وإن استطعتم أن تفروا من جلودكم فافعلوا فوالله إنهم سيتسورون عليكم حصونكم وسيأتونكم من حيث لا تحتسبون ولسنا نتعزز عليكم بهم ولا نتعزز عليكم بالمخلوقين وإنما نتعزز عليكم بالله سبحانه وتعالى.
One such source of unexpected attacks are Yemen's own counter-terrorism forces, here training for a raid on a militant safe house.
We in Yemen, first time we face terrorists that they are ready to suicide, and that was a very big threat to our security. And after the occupation of Iraq, many terrorists went to Iraq and more violence than before. The CTU started with 50 men, now is more than 300. They are well trained by the American and the British.
Since December, the unit has been involved in a series of attacks on Al-Qaeda strongholds. In these pictures of an actual raid, soldiers surround a suspected Al-Qaeda safe house before storming it. The US has long demanded Yemen crack down on Al-Qaeda and will be pushing for more such action. However, President Obama is seriously concerned with Yemen's ability to keep captured fighters under lock and key. In February 2006, Al-Qaeda's leader in Yemen escaped from the country's maximum security prison. Alongside him was Qassem al-Raymi, now a top military commander in the group. Judge Hamoud Hittar leads Yemen's program to persuade captured fighters to renounce violence.
استطعنا من خلال الحوار أن نثبت للعالم بأن القلم واللسان يمكن أن يصنع ما عجزت عنه أحدث الأسلحة وأذكاها. لو كانت القوة وحدها كافية لمقاومة الإرهاب لكان العراق وأفغانستان أكثر أمنا من أي بلد آخر.
However, the scheme has lost the support of the US after graduates of Hittar's program were later captured fighting in Iraq, some clearly not convinced by his arguments. Nasser Bahri is a former Al-Qaeda member who fought alongside Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. He later went through Judge Hittar's program, but says it was less than comprehensive.
صارت في 3 جلسات، فالجلسة الأولى كانت مدة ساعة ونصف، الجلسة الثانية مدة 45 دقيقة بالتمام، الجلسة الثانية كانت عبارة عن توقيع المعاهدة بيننا وبين الحكومة. فالقاضي حمود هتلر بيعترف بأن هذا الشيء، أما مسألة تأهيلنا ما تأهيلنا ما كان في برامج تأهيل، كان في برامج حوار. والله إذا كانت حكومة اليمن حتتعامل مع الشباب بالأجندة الأمريكية من حقهم يدافعوا عن أنفسهم. ترجم كلامي بالحرف. إذا كانت الحكومة الأمريكية حتقوم بتنفيذ الأجندات الأمريكية ضد الشباب طبيعي جدا يدافع عن أنفسهم، طبيعي جدا يدافع عن أنفسهم. تصبح عنده قناعة أنه أنت تعمل صالح أمريكا. إذا فأنت جزء من أمريكا تحمل تبعاتها.
In their attacks on Al-Qaeda, the Yemeni authorities also risk triggering a war against the local tribes.
We don't want to fight with all tribes in Yemen. It's better to get the head of the Al-Qaeda members. It's not in our favor to fight with the tribes. Because tribes, they have connection with other tribes, and then we'll have big war.
As far as we know, Al-Qaeda, they don't open the door for dialogue. They only seek bloodshed. And that's their philosophy, and that's their way of doing things. If the force comes to force, of course the government will have to.
أوباما بتصريحاته يريد أن يلفت انتباه اليمن أن اليمن ستتحول إلى أفغانستان أخرى، ويريد أن يخفف من هذه الحالة.
ABDULELAH SHAEA monitors the web for news and statements by Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Having met the group last year, SHAEA believes the US support will do little to stop Al-Qaeda exploiting the weakness of the state.
النظام اليمني أن يصل إليها مجددا بسبب أن النظام أصبح يعاني من اختلالات داخلية فيه وأصبح يتفكك تدريجيا، ولذلك في نهاية المطاف في المنظور القريب أو على المدى البعيد، وأنا أعتقد أنه في المنظور القريب، أن القاعدة ستفوز في معركتها ضد النظام.
Deploying international troops to Yemen risks further inflaming hostility among local tribes. So for now, it is the men and women of Yemen's counter-terrorism forces who are at the sharp end of this new front line in America's war on Al-Qaeda. In the dry mountains and plains of Yemen's rugged tribal heartlands, soldiers hunt for Al-Qaeda fighters, both sides waiting for their next order to strike.
Al-Qaeda, they are not threat to Yemen, they are threat to the whole region, and they are bloody killers. So we are not fighting Al-Qaeda just to fight Al-Qaeda, we are fighting Al-Qaeda, fighting for our life.